Hey budget fans, welcome back to my budget deck channel where I try to put out decks that are somewhat achievable between 40 and 80 bucks depending on. And this deck tries to be exactly that with the new support, well, indirect support, I would say. It tries to do exactly that, give an alternative for like budget deck players. It's not super competitive. It's kind of neat. It's kind of niche. You can do a lot of things with it for the price. I think it's alright. Plus, you don't need any link monsters. For people who really hate link format, there you go. You don't need any link monsters for this deck. I tried to revisit this deck because there was the new indirect support I'm talking about, Envoy Oracle of Scatter, basically helps with making one card level 8 synchro monsters. So I felt like that was quite neat. Well, let's start right off. I run triple Stardust Dragon Assault mode because, well, I feel like you only need two, but I think three are kind of nice, especially with other cards in the deck I'll talk about. Plus, this is kind of a grindy deck, and you don't have... I don't run the Assault mode card. I think there's a card that shuffles stuff back into the deck somehow. You might want to consider it, but I felt like it wasn't kind of worth it running it. But because of that, I run three, because since you grind a lot with this deck, you actually sometimes, like there's the short kind of period where you actually want to have three in your deck because you could summon out a third one. But if you say like, oh no, I'm not going to do that, then don't. I guess that deck still works about the same if you don't. One Envoy Oracle of Scatter, three, but it's one card combo basically to get off any of your level 8 synchro monsters. That locks you into synchro monsters for the rest of the turn, but since you see we only have 2 Xyz monsters and that's not that important, so you're not going to do much more than synchro summoning once or twice per turn anyway, which is quite nice. For this card though, you have to decide do you want to run double Fire Ant Scatter or only one, since you can summon it from the hand, but I feel like you kind of want to use this effect twice. If you like draw into two of those at one point, since the deck duel could take quite long, being able to dump another level 8 synchro monster is quite nice, but then you have the little double garnets in the deck, so you tell me what you want to do rather. That's totally up to you. Plus you can get the deck count a little bit down with that. I run double Assault Beast. You can run triple, but I have different options to get into Assault mode. And for the Psy Reflector, you basically don't need more than two of them, because you'll basically that will be enough. Trust me on that one, that will be enough for you. Triple Assault Sniper though, this card is really strong. You can search as well on the deck. You can manipulate attributes and types, which can come in handy for the extra deck. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Next up, obviously the tuner, so you can summon it out. Psy Reflector, very strong card in the deck with emergency teleport. Searchable, I guess. But in general, this card is very good. You could play one for one, but I felt like you don't have enough monsters, and most of them you kind of want to use for something, so you don't really want to discard them. If one for one let you discard spell and trap cards, definitely, but since it doesn't, didn't feel like that was what I wanted to do. This card is also one card, Assault mode basically. It's even going further than that. Not only level 8 synchro, you can with this card also make any other kind of synchro monsters basically. I know it's up to level 9 or 10, but I'm pretty sure you can actually, I think it's up to 9, but most you'll be going into level 7 or 8, mainly 8 for the Assault mode. But if you ever feel like another card is more useful, then that kind of card helps you as well. One Foolish Burial Goods, because I think that's a little bit of my spicy kind of try on this deck. It helps you dump in Assault mode 0 to the graveyard, which is a mediocre card. It's okay, you can actually use it with the, since you have 3 Assault mode Stardust Dragons in your deck. If you have it in hand, you can use it, but you can discard it with the Envoy Oracle, or you can send it to the graveyard with Foolish Burial Goods, and then basically set one, if you banish it, set one Assault mode activate directly from your deck, and you can activate it this turn. So what you can do with this is, if you happen to have Envoy of Oracle and Psy Reflector, then you can actually go for a double synchro, because the first one you can instantly turn into Start Assault mode, and the other one you could turn into technically stuff like, I don't know, FA Dawn Dragster or Naturia Barkian or whatever kind of stuff you like, because, well, that is how the cookie crumbles, and I feel like that frees up some space for you in your turn if you want to do the plays. I can understand if you say like don't do it, don't run this card, it's kind of wasted, but also it's a nice trigger for Ash Blossom, since this deck is kind of weak to Ash Blossom. On turn 1, if your opponent doesn't know what he's playing against, some people would Ash that, some people would. I'm not saying everybody would, but some people don't want to find out what you send to the graveyard with this card. Monster Reborn helps you even if you go on first turn, which you do. It can be quite helpful, especially if you're being disrupted. then that is quite helpful. Getting some resources back, if not getting Stardust Dragon back the turn after, or even the same turn if you do the combo with the Foolish Burial Goods, you can do a lot of shenanigans with that. So I felt like this card was kind of good. If you decide not to run it, that is up to you as well. What you should run in this deck is Called by the Grave, because like I said, Effect Vela, Ash Blossom screws you over a lot. Even the card, the Ghost Haunted Mansion, or whatever, the Ghost Bell, I think the graveyard one kind of screws you over from time to time as well, since this little card here does not banish itself when it uses the effect, but goes to the graveyard, which is it would be so much better if it banished itself, because then Called by the Grave would not have the power to basically stop this card. But since it's a one card combo these days, I think it's fine. Emergency Teleport solely for Side Reflector. Double Assault Mod 0, since you're running 3 of them, being able to special summon one from hand can be nice. Setting one Assault, one Activate from your deck can be nice too. So I feel like this card is useful. If you don't want to run it, you don't want to cut this whole entire engine, then that is fine with me as well. Triple Fire Formation Tanky, I kind of like this card because you can search the Assault Sniper, you can search the Assault Beast, which is super helpful in my opinion, since you can basically start off your place then. And with those kind of cards, you will, I would say 95 to 99% of the time, technically be able to go into your Assault Mode, at least level 8 Synchro Monster, which, yeah, I mean, the other, if you actually will be able to with your opponent disrupting you is another thing, but at least you'll have the opportunity to do so. Guard Giant, Cataclysm, run 2 of them because you have a lot of dragon monsters. Technically, with Assault Sniper, you could turn one of your other monsters, so you don't need into a dragon monster himself. So you could use that card as well. So I felt like there was a neat little extra spice in here, since, yeah, can help you if you only have Stardust Dragon, you really don't need it, or you go for another of one of the synchro monsters that are dragon monsters. You have enough dragons in your deck, that card makes sense. Return to the front lines, double as well, because, well, getting your Stardust Dragon back if you have another Assault Mode is kind of neat. Otherwise, you have a lot of other cards that you want to get back, especially in your synchro deck. Have your graveyard will be full of somewhat useful cards. Another spicy take that I want to run is, since Impermanence is not really budgety, so I didn't want to include in this deck. But if you think about it, Breakthrough Skill does about the same. It's not as good, but if you're going first, doesn't matter. The difference isn't too big. Yeah, you can't shut down the column, but shutting down the column is actually only really helpful if your opponent either has a really full set spell and trap card zone, or if your opponent is just playing not paying attention, which I think that shouldn't be the reason why you win the duel. So Breakthrough Skill does about the same kind of thing, and but the card you can reuse in your turn if your opponent for some reason gets out one big monster because you couldn't stop him from doing everything, then and he would screw up your next turn by negating one thing, you can just banish Breakthrough Skill and negate that monster and you are ready to go. So I felt like this card was better than it sounds like, and they all work out well with Trap Trick, since I only run them at 2, because Trap Trick gives you the option of like, oh, which one do I want to actually go for? You could go for Assault Mode Activate, that's why I like this card as well, or any of the above, because this card is kind of cheap. Now, it's not super cheap, but I feel like in a deck like that, it's really worth it. Triple Assault Mode Activate, you could run 2, about a ratio kind of thing. Again, I feel like in a grind game, you kind of want 3, but if you say like you don't, fair play. I kind of like drawing into this card of 1, for example, as well, because then your Side Reflector can search other cards, and it just helps a lot. Triple Solemn Strike, you don't need to run Solemn Strike, but I felt like, first of all, the counter trap from the Assault modes wasn't as good, because if you don't manage to get out of Assault mode, then it does nothing. So Solemn Strike kind of, in my opinion, a better option. If you want to go for anything else disruptive or Summon Limit or something like that, then be my guest, do that kind of stuff. One Solemn Warning, because it shuts down normal summons, which is, there's actually a lot of decks that kind of rely on the normal summon, or you can really hurt them if you have like one negate and can get rid of their normal summon. Then I feel like this card is your way to go, and I feel like it actually helped me in a lot of cases, being able to stop like a normal summon monster, which Solemn Strike can't quite do. I mean, Effect is activated, could work, but still, sometimes they want to go like Crusadia, whatever, they want to go into the Link monster and so on, then they get protection off if they summon the Borea, so you can't get rid of it, and so on. There's a lot of stuff where this card actually can be more helpful, so I would run it, but you don't have to. For the extra deck, 1 High-Speed Droid Kite Drake, because you can get this card out with the attribute and type manipulation of Assault Sniper, since this card is exactly what it wants you to have as a tuner. a wind machine monster, so you can make your Side Reflector wind machine monster, which is quite nice. One Sun Dragon Inti basically for the fields, because if you run the Envoy Oracle of Scatter, kind of have to run this card as well. You don't, you can cut it if you want to, but I feel like it had to be in here at least for the memes. Scarlet Red Dragon Arcfiend, well, level 8 monster. You don't run the assault mode version of it because this card is basically better than it. I don't get this whole version of the Red Dragon Arcfiend kind of card because it's really not that great. One side from Lord Omega, don't have to run it, but I feel like if you actually start with the Invo Oracle Scatter or and Psy Reflector and you know your opponent doesn't really use hand traps or whatever kind of stuff it is, then you can actually summon Siphon Omega first, then banish one of your opponent's hand cards, banish this card, and go for the next Synchro Monster. So that kind of frees up your zone, so I like this card. White Aura Whale, basically nuking your opponent's board, which is quite neat. Can do it with the Assault Sniper as well. If you don't want to use stuff like Black Rose Dragon because it nukes your own cards as well, can be a problem. So White Aura Whale, the little bit better version of that, I feel like, if you can get it out. Triple Stardust Dragon, you can run 2, but I think your XRX space isn't that tight, so it doesn't really matter if you want run 3. One Yazi, basically same reason as Omega, because it can pop a card your opponent controls and free up the zone then, so that can be nice. You could put Worm Monster into the deck if you want to, but I feel like that creates more bricks than it's actually useful. Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, if your opponent has a high level monster or whatever, you just want to, or a special summon monster, want to send that back, can help you against certain decks. I would run it. It has okay attack value. I like it. Black Rose, we all know why that's there. FA Dawndrax, so if you want to create a second negate. Same for Nashuri of Archeon. It's harder to get out, but if your opponent plays with trap cards, might as well play that card. And generic rank 8s, because you technically could, with stuff like Monster Reborn, Turn to the Front Line, and your level 8 Synchro Engines, could go for it. Not saying you will, most likely a lot, but you can choose whatever you want. And one last mention that I like, one card that I want to mention here is Assault Teleport, which is searchable by Psy Reflector, so you can play it at 1 in the deck if you ever draw into your Assault mode activate, or you have your Assault Beast and stuff, which isn't unlikely since you have Fire Formation tanky and all those kind of things. It is possible, so if you want to shuffle one of them into the deck again and use Assault Teleport, it's not too bad. You could play it 1 in the deck, wouldn't hurt it too much, actually can help you with some tricky situations, I would say. If you enjoyed the deck profile, leave a like, subscribe. There's going to be more. I think what I'm going to do next, there's going to be stuff next, some weird dragony control kind of deck, and yeah, there's something in the works. Time Lords, exactly. I want to have a look at Time Lords now. I remember that. And yeah, stay tuned, subscribe for that. If not, hope you have a good day.